It all stems from a great book called Dead Heat that, I don't know, I think I read 3 or 4 weeks ago when it came out. And it's absolutely fantastic. I urge you to read it, especially if you're a fan of the Left Behind series, which was very, very good. This is rooted in the news of the day. And you kind of show how quickly and how easy these prophecies are to fulfill and get us to the end of days. Ever spook you? Does it ever?
It does. The first line, as you saw, of the author's note in Dead Heat is, I pray to God this never comes true. Because people think that because previous fictional elements of my political thrillers have seemed to come true, that maybe I'm trying to predict these events. I'm not. Dead Heat is a worst case scenario. It's not a world I want to see or think will happen. It's a world I fear could happen if we get our eye off the ball of the threats facing our country right now. Whether it's the last days or not, I believe we are in the last days, but these threats are very real today, the threat of nuclear terrorism in particular.
Do you believe that you will see the end of days?
I could, and I fear that I will. Look, it's not something I'm looking forward to. I would rather have a much longer period of time to raise my children and to bless the poor and the needy and care for victims of war and terrorism. My wife and I started an organization called the Joshua Fund. Why? Because we're writing about war and terrorism. People are really suffering right now. I would love it if we had 40 or 50 years or more just to do this, to care for people. As an evangelical Christian, I think that's my job and my mission. But I also see these signs coming and I think, look, I don't want to look like I'm hyperventilating. But if you think you see a storm coming and you work for the National Weather Service and you don't tell people, hey, Katrina's coming, you might want to pay attention and get to safety, you can't stop the storm. But you will face God one day and have to say, I did nothing.
Well,
I don't want to do
Ezekiel 34 says that in those days he'll appoint a watchman, or he'll appoint a watchman and watchmen. And I think there's plenty of people around now that are in places that they just, they're on the wall and they see and they're like, oh my gosh. And for as crazy as it may sound, we're probably all wrong. But it says specifically there, if you see it coming and you're in that position and you don't turn around and warn the people that this might be it, it says the blood of their blood will be on your hands.
That's right.
But if you've warned them and they haven't listened, oh well, it sucks to be you.
And the question is, how do you warn people without looking like a lunatic? And I started with fiction. I said, look, let's just imagine this world.
Do a lot of people think you're a lunatic?
They're not writing to me. The ones that are inviting me to speak are at Congress, in the Pentagon. I've met with Muslim leaders, people who are in charge of tens of thousands of mosques in their country. They've invited me for dinner at their homes. They've come to my home. I'm amazed how many military leaders, political leaders, diplomats here in D.C. as well as around the world want to sit down quietly, off the record, and talk about these things.
Yes, I think there's I think people have a misunderstanding. I think there are more people that believe in this kind of stuff, and maybe they don't even think that it's in the end of times, and probably it's not. I don't know, but
it is.
But they, they have a gut feeling. It's almost like the economy. Everybody's been saying, "Oh no, we're fine. Oh, don't worry about it." People's gut feeling. They knew this wasn't good, and I think they can look at the world events and go, this isn't good.
No, you look at the trajectory of world events, the chaos that's going on in the world, the alliances that are forming, but also you see it in Hollywood. You see it in the films that are the biggest blockbusters. Lord of the Rings. Okay, yeah, it was set in Middle-earth. What is it about? The return of the king. It's about these cataclysmic forces, the clashes of good and evil, where a king is coming to rescue the world. You see it in Independence Day. You see it in War of the Worlds. The Narnia series. The biggest blockbusters, Star Wars. The biggest blockbusters in history are really about these cataclysmic, cosmic clashes between good and evil and people making choices. Am I going to be good or am I going to succumb to the dark side, as it were? And the theme of Dead Heat and all my novels is this: to misunderstand the nature and threat of evil is to risk being blindsided by it.
Well, because most evil doesn't show up in big black boots with a cape and a helmet.
That's right. We were blindsided by Pearl Harbor.
I don't understand how people were Nazis. I really don't. I look at the uniform and the black and the skull and crossbones and I'm like, They'd walk in and say, hey, you want to join? And I'd be like, look at the uniform. I'm like, I
but you
think
had
that's the wrong side.
British prime ministers going and hugging and kissing Adolf Hitler and trying to offer him everything they could in terms of Chamberlain. Now you got Jimmy Carter kissing leaders like the Hamas leaders whose hands are literally dripping with blood. Look, there are people in our world today, and unfortunately in our political system, they do not believe in evil. They have a modern Western secular mindset, and they don't believe evil exists, and they are exactly the ones who are in danger of getting blindsided by evil because they're not prepared for it.
When we come back, then, in your noodle list, and maybe if you can give me a short answer on one of them, the signs that we should be looking for, the things that you think, okay, this is probably likely to happen, and when you see this happen in the news, no, this is a sign. Do you have one off the top of your head?
A dictator to emerge with Russia, to begin forming an alliance, and specifically criticizing Israel. When you see Russian leaders start to denounce Israel and threaten military action against Israel, you know that events are really moving quickly.
Is it true that Russia buried military hardware in the desert?
They hid it in caves in the early 1980s, underground caves in Lebanon. I document this in my nonfiction book, Epicenter. And when the Israelis invaded Lebanon to defeat the PLO, they found enormous storehouses that would allow multiple divisions of Soviet armored troops to come racing through Israel and take over the country.
Okay. We'll be back. Now I'm being told by the man in the sky that we got to go. We'll be back in a second with a final thought.
LensCrafters has the prescription sunglasses that reflect you. So you can do what you want to do and look good doing it. With the great selection and the latest styles, starting at just $139.95. LensCrafters, open your eyes.
What I love about her?
What I love about him.
How much time do we have?
I love everything about Sharon.
Everything.
Everything. I love him as he is.
Find everything you're looking for on eHarmony.com. Log on today and review your mattress for free.
Announcing Priceline's 10th anniversary Chopathon hotel sale. To celebrate a decade of deals, the negotiators chopping booking fees on over 23,000 hotels. Lower fees means lower prices. Save on a hotel today at Priceline.
Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one's me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, 'cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. FREE, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. FREE.